Welcome to Change Your Story, the podcast that helps women build a fit mind, a fit body, and a fit life from the inside out.
I'm your host and transformation coach, Hannah Dawson. I'm a personal trainer, nutrition educator, and mindset mentor, and I am here to help you feel strong, confident, and free in your body, not by starving, shrinking, or punishing yourself, but by training with a purpose, eating with a purpose, and having faith through the process so you can change the way you see yourself forever. Inside this podcast, we break free from diet culture, perfectionism, and all the stories that have held you back. We rewrite the new ones rooted in truth, strength, and self-love. You will hear real talk, faith-fueled encouragement, proven fitness and nutrition strategies, and the mindset tools you need to stay consistent, stay focused, and believe in yourself again. If you are ready to stop starting over, build a life you love, and finally change your story, you are in the right place. Let's build a fit mind, a fit body, and a fit life. Let's rewrite your story. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the Change Your Story podcast. I'm your host and transformation coach, Hannah Dawson. I'm also the founder of the Fit Club app, your all-in-one transformation platform for building a fit mind, a fit body, and a fit life. If you are new here, girl, you came to the right place. I am so grateful you are here. I am so grateful you found this space, and I just truly thank you for being here. So again, I hope this empowers and inspires you today. And to all my girlies, my women that just keep showing up week after week because this podcast impacts you in such a powerful way, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for allowing me in your space, in your place, in your time with you week after week. I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for all of you. I'm just so grateful that you want to grow. You want to become the best version of yourself. Physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, all of the ways you just want to grow. And we can do that together because that's really what this podcast is about. It is about changing your story, changing the way you think, changing the way you see yourself, changing the way you move through life, changing the way you relate to yourself, your body, your future, and your potential. And here's the thing, if you've been following the podcast for a while now, you know everything we talk about on here builds on the last thing. Nothing stands alone. It's layers, just like our self-relationship, it's layers, right? And so we really started with the Real Work series. I mean, it goes deeper than that and farther back than that, but we really started building from the Real Work series. And then we moved into the Self-Love series because transformation begins with building a relationship with yourself. And now we're stepping into something that ties everything together. We're talking about the laws of alignment. And this radically transformed and shifted so many things within me. I believe it is why I am where I am, and I'm so excited to share it with you all. So last week, I'll just quickly recap for our new listeners, and I encourage you to go listen to the last episode if you didn't. It was the laws of the body, and I wanted to start with that because it makes sense, right? And some of us may not know this. The laws that govern the body. And so we talked about things like energy balance. We talked about metabolic adaptation. We talked about progressive overload, the law of averages. Maybe some of you have heard of this. Maybe some of you haven't. I would go and listen to that. And so it was really important because what we saw was this, is that the body follows laws whether we believe in them or not. You can ignore them, you can argue with them, you can wish they worked differently, you can blame your body, you can blame your age, you can blame your metabolism, you can blame your hormones, but the body still follows laws. And when we work with the laws, things start working. When we fight them, we get frustrated. And that matters because so many men are trying to change their body while fighting reality the whole way through. But here's where it gets deeper. The body isn't the only thing that follows laws. The mind does too. Your internal world does. The the way you think, the way you feel, the way you perceive life, the way you behave, the way you speak to yourself, all of that is happening inside a system that also follows laws. And in order to have the body you want, in order to create the life that you want, in order to feel the way you want to feel more consistently, we need to understand one of the most important laws in the universe. Yes, I said it, in the universe. And it's called the law of vibration. Once you understand this, things are going to start making a lot of sense. Once you start applying this, things are going to start shifting. Okay, I want to say this before we get any deeper. Go any further. It's really important. For some people, I know language, this type of language can sound very spiritual. For some people, it sounds scientific. For some people, it may sound philosophical. For some people, it might sound unfamiliar. So wherever you are coming from, whatever your beliefs are, whatever your background is, whatever your faith tradition is, I just want to invite you to keep an open mind and open heart for a moment. Just keep an open mind. Just allow your imagination to imagine, okay? Because these laws are not about replacing your beliefs or your religion. They're about understanding how life works. And something really interesting happens when you start studying these ideas through a different lens, okay? Stay with me. You begin to realize that many different traditions are pointing to a similar truth. They're just using a different language. Science talks about the brain, electricity, chemistry, nervous system, and energy, all right? Metaphysics talks about vibration, frequency, resonance, and alignment. Spirituality traditions, they talk more about conditions of the heart, the mind, the soul, the inner work in life. In Christianity, you'll hear things like, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. In Buddhism, you'll hear teachings about the mind shaping suffering or peace depending on how we think and how we perceive. In psychology, we talk about the belief systems, thought patterns, conditioning, and emotional regulation. Different language, same framework. But often, they're all pointing to one similar truth. Your inner world affects your outer world. Your thoughts matter. Your emotional state matters. And your internal environment matters. So today, I want to help you understand this in a way that is practical, grounded, and just really useful for your actual life. Because like I said, this changed everything for me. So you've heard of the law of attraction. That's actually the secondary law. The first most powerful law in the universe is actually the law of vibration. Stay with me here for a minute because I want to slow this down and explain something just simply. All right. And I promise it's all going to tie back to your mind, your emotions, your body, your habits, your self-relationship, and the life that you want to create. To understand the law of vibration, we need to understand 3 simple ideas. Are you with me? Number 1 is energy. Number 2, vibration. And number 3, frequency. I'm sure you've heard people say your vibe attracts your tribe. Everything is energy. Raise your vibration, all of those things, right? And some people will hear this and immediately put it in a box. Some people will say it's spiritual. Some people say it's woo-woo. Some people say it's science. Some people say it's motivational. Here's the thing. It's a little bit of all of them. It has the same foundation. We as humans, depending on how we grew up or where we grew up or who was teaching us, these are laws. They govern no matter if you believe in them or not. We just have different ways of describing them, and some of us may not even know about them. And when you find out about them, life becomes magical. And I want to say that in the best way possible. Okay, so let's break this down very simply, okay? Everything in the universe contains energy. That's a fact. That's a scientific fact. Your body contains energy. Food contains energy. Calories are literally measured units of energy. Heat is energy. Electricity is energy. Movement uses energy. Your brain uses energy to think. Your emotion is energy in motion. Here's the key part. Energy is always moving in some form. And when energy moves, that movement creates what it's called a vibration. And so vibration is simple. It is energy in motion. And the speed of that vibration is called frequency. So it looks like this. The relationship looks like this. Energy moves. The movement creates a vibration. The speed of that vibration is frequency. You with me? That's the relationship. Okay, once you understand that, the law of vibration will start to make sense, I promise. The law of vibration simply tells us this, that everything in the universe is moving and vibrating at some level. Everything that looks solid, okay? So your body, the chair you're sitting on, your phone in your hand, all of those are vibrating. They are made up of tiny particles that are in motion. The universe is never still. It is constantly moving. That's why the seasons change. That's why the earth, I don't know if the earth rotates or the sun rotates. Do not hold me on that. But we move. The moon and the sun, they move around us, or we around the sun. I'm not sure. I should have looked that up before I even said this. But you get what I mean. Everything is always moving. Nothing stays still, even us. We become babies and then we get old and we die. Everything is always moving, right? So here's where we bring this back to you, because this law is not just describing the universe around you, right? It's not just about the things happening around you. It's actually describing things happening inside of you all the time. Your brain is a whole electrical system. This is so cool. Your thoughts are electrical signals firing through your nervous system. And those thoughts, they create emotions. And an emotion is literally energy in motion. Think about that word for a second. Emotion. So E and then the word motion. Energy in motion. Your thoughts create emotions. Your emotions create energy moving through your body. And that energy carries a frequency. So the thoughts that you think, the beliefs that you hold, the emotional pattern you repeat are constantly creating an energetic pattern inside of you. Your inner world is always in motion. It's never neutral, and that matters. Because here's the thing, what's happening inside of you is affecting how you show up on the outside and what you attract into your life and the things that you do. I have so many examples and analogies because they're so powerful. So let's just talk about a scientific principle that will support this for a second, okay? It's called the law of conservation of energy. Stay with me. Like, what is that? Okay, it's simple. It says that energy cannot be created or destroyed. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. Stay with me. It can only be transferred or transformed, which means that energy is always going somewhere. It may become heat, it may become motion or emotion. It may become electricity or some sort of action, but it does not disappear. That's really important. It moves, it transfers, it transforms. And this helps explain something that we experience all the time in our life. All right, are you with me? Let's get into some fun little analogies here. So I want you to think about your Wi-Fi for a second. There are signals moving through the room around you right now. You can't see them, but they're there. Your phone picks them up, your laptop connects to them, messages travel through them. The thing, you do not need to see the signal for the signal to be real. The same thing happens with a radio station. Every station broadcasts at a certain frequency, at a specific frequency. So if the station is like, let's say 99.5, you have to tune in to 99.5 to hear it. If you're tuned in somewhere else, you're not going to receive that signal. You're not going to hear that song or whatever station you're expecting because it does not exist on that frequency. This is important to understand, you guys, because what you are tuned into affects what you receive. We only receive that what we are tuned into. So let's talk about electricity for a second. Stay with me. Electricity works the same way. Electricity is energy and it moves through a system. Tiny charges, particles, they move through the wires in your home, right? You don't actually see the electricity itself. You see the effects of the electricity. Electricity flows, your lights turn on. Electricity flows, your phone charges. Electricity flows, sound comes through your speakers. The energy itself is invisible, but the results are visible. And your thoughts, girls, they work in a very similar way. This is why I always say your thoughts are so powerful. They're like magnets. You cannot see your thoughts. People cannot see your thoughts, but they see the effects of your thoughts. Just like electricity, you can't see it, but you see what it does. Nobody can see what you're thinking, but they can see your words. They can see your actions, your habits, the way you treat your body, the way you treat yourself, the standards you accept, the excuses you rehearse, the risks you avoid, the life you create. Just like electricity, your thoughts may be invisible, but your results are not. This also explains why some of us, or maybe actually all of us, say things like, I just don't have energy today. Have you ever said that? But then like all of a sudden something exciting happens, you get good news, an opportunity comes in, like something you have been hoping for finally happens, or you think about something that lights you up, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, you feel wide awake. You have energy again, you feel alive. So what changed in that moment? From feeling tired and sluggish and like you have no energy, all of a sudden that one thing, now you feel on top of the world and like you have all the energy in the world. Or you get excited about something and all of a sudden you're not tired and you want to go, 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 go. That energy was there all the time because energy cannot be created nor destroyed. You didn't suddenly create new energy. Here's the thing. What changed in that moment was the thought. That thought carried a higher vibrational frequency. That thought created a new emotional state, excitement, anticipation, hope, possibility. And that emotional shift changed the energy moving through your body, which changed the frequency that you were operating on. Are you staying with me? Are you getting excited? So the energy just didn't magically like appear out of nowhere. Or the motivation just didn't appear out of nowhere. Your internal frequency, it shifted. And this is huge because this means so much of what we call energy in everyday life is deeply connected to what you are thinking, what you are focusing on, what you are believing. And that emotional state, those thoughts are creating your frequency, your vibration. And when we have thoughts that feel lighter, when we have thoughts that feel more expansive, more empowering, more hopeful, those thoughts tend to move us into a higher emotional state, which is which is why we feel better. Okay, but here's the other side to the coin. Is when we feel stuck in a lower, heavy emotional state like shame, guilt, fear, resentment, self-criticism, our thoughts tend to match that state too. They become more contracted, more negative, more hopeless. And that brings me into the next piece that I want to talk about. This is where you start hearing about higher and lower frequencies, like I just was talking about. I know that phrase can sound vague, or maybe it doesn't resonate with you right now, but just think of good and bad, or good feelings and bad feelings. Just think about fear and faith. They're totally two opposite ends of the spectrum. Faith is a highest vibrational frequency because it is typically attached to love. Fear is the lowest vibrational frequency because it is attached to hopelessness. It is like the lowest of the low frequency. Often anxiety, despair, depression are usually low vibrational frequencies. Here's something important to understand, because those lower frequencies tend to feel slower. That's why we feel heavier, sluggish. That's why we feel drained or unmotivated. That's why emotions like fear, shame, discouragement, resentment, hopelessness, defeat, unforgiveness, they can make your whole body feel slow, heavy, like you don't want to move, like you don't want to try, like you don't want to believe, like everything feels harder. But higher frequencies, on the other hand, feel faster. They vibrate at a higher frequency, more expansive, lighter, more energizing. That's why emotions like joy, excitement, gratitude, love, inspiration, hope, motivation, you feel more alive, like you can do more, like you can take on the world. I know you've been there, like things are possible. And so when your thoughts shift to more empowering thoughts, your emotional state shifts with it. And when your emotional state shifts, your internal frequency shifts to match that state. And when your internal frequency shifts, what you perceive in life starts to shift too. And what you look at starts to change. It's called shifting your paradigm. Things start to shift literally, and metaphorically and spiritually. Things literally start changing. What you see and what you notice changes. I explain it like this. We all have experienced this, okay? You walk into a room, nobody has to say anything, and you feel the tension. Have you ever heard someone say, I could have cut that tension with a knife? Or there's like an elephant in the room, nobody's saying everything, but everybody's feeling it. That is emotional atmosphere. That is energy. That is frequency. Your body feels it. Why? When we are around people that are what they call energy vampires or just emotionally draining or really negative, we leave feeling heavy. But the opposite is true. We could be around someone that is so joyful, so happy, so grounded, so peaceful, so alive, so motivating, so empowering. Every time you're around them, you leave smiling, you feel more open, you feel uplifted. Why? Why? Because energy is contagious, like a cold, or like a cold. If someone is sick and you're around them, most likely you're probably going to catch it. Remember, you guys, energy transfers. Energy is such a real thing, and it does transfer. That's why in the beginning, you have to protect your peace. I'm sure you've heard that saying, protect your peace. That just means like if you are not in a good mental state yet where you can be around people that may not be the most uplifted or positive, that you have to protect your peace because you'll just catch what they have, right? And we don't want to catch what they have. So you have to limit your time with that, especially if you're really working on yourself. You need to surround yourself with people that are more positive and uplifting to catch what they have. I want to catch something, but I don't want to catch negativity. I want to catch empowerment. I want to catch dreams. I want to catch hopefulness, faith. And so that's why the power of energy is so important. What you surround yourself with, where you are, is contagious. So when you are around really negative people or really toxic people, you'll feel heavy. You might even feel depressed. And you're like, what? I was totally fine. Why am I feeling like this a few days after? Just check who you've been hanging around, or even just the environments that you surround yourself with. Brings me back to the next one, ladies. What we talked about is energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It transfers, it transforms, it moves. It can move from somebody else to you, right? So what is happening inside of you, it affects you, but it also affects the people around you. And that goes on both ends of the spectrum, right? Both ends. That could be positive and negative. Right? And I don't want someone to say that's really struggling with mental health or feeling down, like you have to isolate yourself. That is not what we're saying. We're just talking about, working on yourself will always be positive. Talking to a counselor will always be positive. Needing a friend to just be able to talk through feelings or emotions is still a positive thing. It just becomes when it just starts to become complaining or venting constantly, but not taking charge of your life and taking charge of your own thoughts and doing the positive things, right? It's not saying that we're never going to have these negative emotions. It's not toxic positivity. It just means that we are choosing to take control of our mind and our thoughts and choosing thoughts of the highest good. Even if that thought is, moving from anger to sadness, right? There's there's levels in our emotional energetic state that we can shift to, even if it's just a small shift. I just want to say about that, like those small shifts, and I'm not going to get into that today, but like shifting from anger to sadness. A lot of the time, anger is a result of sadness. So when we go angry and we feel like we lash out, if we would just allow ourselves to release the anger, whether that's through crying, whether that's through speaking to somebody professional, whether that's going and doing a workout, you need to release that energy from you. And hopefully not onto somebody, but like in a positive way. Crying is such a great release. It releases from your body. Working out is such a great release. Talking to a professional is a great release. Going for a run, going for a walk, praying. Those are all really great things. Sometimes we listen to somebody motivational online and it shifts our mindset and our frequency. So those are just things I went off for a second. Let's get back to what we were talking about. And so back to, energy being contagious. That's why your environments matter. That's why what you consume matters, right? That's why who you surround yourself with matters. If you are trying to break bad habits, you don't want to hang around people with the bad habits or the places that you used to have those bad habits in. You literally have to match the identity that you want to be, right? Remember, thoughts shape feelings. Feelings shape frequency. Frequency shapes how you show up or what you start attracting into your life. And I want to say this too. Let's give another example, another analogy. Analogy. Oh my goodness, I'm having a hard time with my words today. Okay, here's an analogy for all my skeptics. Animals, my animal lovers. Animals sense energy before they do words. Anytime they feel your energy. So like when you're fighting, dogs know when they'll start acting up and getting really crazy. If there's fighting going on in the house, they start barking, they run around. Or when you're sad, they'll come and sit with you. They know when you're anxious, they start feeling anxious. They know when something is off. Horses, all my horse lovers, if you are anxious and you get on a horse, that horse is going to start acting skittish. It's probably going to try to run you off by scraping you up against a tree. A true story. It happened to me all the time. I loved horses, but I was nervous every time. So they would always do weird things. Plus it was a female, and females are temperamental and emotional. So there's all that mixed in it. But animals, they sense your energy before your words. They can sense if you're calm. They can sense if you're stressed. They are not reading what you are saying to them. They're listening. They're feeling. They're sensing an emotional state, emotional energy. Your nervous system lets out your frequency. Humans do this too. Even when we don't always realize it, we can feel when something is off. This is your gut feeling. We can feel when someone is unsafe. We can feel when someone is peaceful. We can feel when someone is not being genuine. We can feel when someone is grounded, or when we just want to be around them because they just make us feel loved or safe or warm and like we can be our authentic self. Energy communicates, ladies, before our words do. That's why you want to get around people where you're like, they have good energy. Like, I feel I can be my authentic self. I feel like I can dream with them. I feel excited when I'm around them. If you find those people, do not let them go. All right? Okay. Back to, this brings us back to self-relationship. Right? We're going to tie this back to the beginning, because here's the thing. The story that you repeat inside your mind creates your emotional state. So if the story, ladies, is, I'll never change. Nothing works for me. I always fail. It's my hormones. It's my metabolism is broken. I'm too old. I'm big boned. I'm not disciplined. It's my genetics. I'm not enough. I'll never be successful. I always struggle with money. It's just not in the cards for me. This is just the way I am and I'm never going to change. Or I have this injury, or I'm always sick, or I'm so scared. Or if you're always complaining and putting that out there, and even I see some women write posts and it's just so negative. I know you're wanting to talk about your feelings, but girl, you are writing something and you're attracting that in your life. So it's like, it's okay to feel this way, but don't keep complaining about it. Find a way to release it. Find a way to shift your emotional state. Find a way to shift that, because Here's the thing, thoughts are not neutral. Those thoughts create emotional responses. Those emotions create patterns and states, and those states are creating a frequency, right? And so when you live in that frequency long enough, you start seeing life through that lens. You start seeing more problems, more proof that it's not working, more evidence that something is wrong with you. And that creates a shame spiral, a defeat spiral, a sabotage spiral, because the environment inside you, inside your mind, becomes the environment that you live in. This is why self-relationship matters so much. Your life is mirroring your relationship to yourself and the thoughts that you are thinking. Your health is mirroring that. Your illnesses or your injuries. I know it can be hard, and we're not going to get into that today, but literally, we can create our own sickness because of our own limited beliefs, and we want to stay in a negative spiral, in a negative cycle. And if you keep your relationship with yourself rooted in criticism, defeat, shame, hopelessness, complaining, negativity, then that is going to become your emotional frequency that you keep living in. You'll attract people. You know, they say birds of a feather flock together, right? Shit attracts flies, right? Stinking thinking. You're just going to attract other people with stinking thinking, and they're going to confirm everything that you're believing. They're going to be, it's just a big complaining circle. From there, and from that thinking, you are going to act, you're going to choose, and you're going to react accordingly to your internal world to make it manifest in your external world. And this brings us back full circle to the first episode. Because yes, the body follows laws. That is true. But your belief systems influences how you react with those laws. If your belief system says, I can't lose weight, I'm too old, it's my genetics, my body's broken, nothing works out for me, why bother, I always mess up, it's my hormones, I have insulin resistance, I have diabetes, it's the way that I always have been, I always will be. They're all excuses, are limited beliefs in disguise. They make us feel comfortable for living comfortable. Because if we are to confront those excuses as, they may not actually be true. Maybe going from back to the first, the self-love series, maybe this is not actually true. This is a limited belief that someone somewhere said something that I took on as true, and now it has become true for me. And I'm living in coherence with that. I'm living in resonance with that, and it's multiplying. We're going to talk about resonance in another episode. Here's the thing, our emotional state shapes the vibration frequency we are living in. Our behavior will always follow our belief system. We will always default to our belief system, and our beliefs shape our emotional state. And this affects how you show up within the laws of the body. So if your belief system is rooted in defeat, blame, excuses, hopelessness, you will keep getting drawn towards behaviors that match that state. You'll quit, you'll numb, you'll self-sabotage, you'll look for proof it's not possible, you'll stay in old cycles. So yes, the body does follow laws, but your internal state shapes how you show up within those laws. And that is powerful because mindset and self-relationship are not extra. They are foundational. This might be one of the biggest takeaways from this whole episode. What you cannot see creates what you eventually do see. I'll say that again. What you cannot see eventually creates what you do see. You cannot see Wi-Fi, but you see the message arrive. You cannot see electricity, but you see the lights turn on. You cannot see someone's thoughts, but you can see the life those thoughts are producing. You can't see the belief directly, but you can see the behavior. You can see the habits. You can see the patterns. You can see the results. So if you want to change what is visible in your life, you have to start paying attention to what is invisible in your inner world, your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotional patterns, your internal frequency. And this is where we begin moving into the next law, because your frequency sets the dial. The frequency you are tuned into influences what you notice, what you focus on, what you move towards, what feels normal, what feels available, and what patterns you repeat. And that leads us right into the next episode, the law of attraction, because attraction begins with vibration. Frequency comes first. What you are tuned into affects what you receive. And we're going to go deeper into that next week. And after that, we're going to go into an idea or a law that is called resonance, because that opens up a whole other layer. But first, we need to understand this. Your internal state is not small. Your thoughts are not passive. Your emotions are not random. They are a part of an energetic frequency that you are living in. This is one of the reasons I love teaching this, because learning these laws changed the way I see everything. And here's the thing, your miracle is just a shift in perception. That's all a miracle is. You can have many miracles a day and not be aware of them because your perception is distorted and you're stuck in a negative frequency, a low frequency, so you don't see all of the amazing things happening. And so when you understand these laws, it will change everything for you. When you understand that they're always working at all the time, no matter what you believe, they work. They don't need you to believe in them to work. But once you learn how to work with them, everything will change. Everything changed for me. The way I speak to myself changed because I learned the power of my words. I learned the power of what I was thinking about. The way I showed up for myself changed. The way I nourished myself changed. The way I interpret my emotions changed. The way I worked on my emotions and healing patterns from my past and limited beliefs. I went to work on that so powerfully because I knew that in order to get the life I wanted and to feel the way I wanted to feel in my body and have the body I wanted and have the life that I wanted and feel all the joy, I had to shift my emotional frequency, right? It changed everything. It changed how I coach women now. It's changed how I see the world now. It's changed how I see it's changed my faith. It's changed everything. It's changed my mindset. Here's the thing, once you understand that these laws are always operating, you will stop fighting life. You will start working with it. You'll become more aware. You'll become more intentional, more responsible, more compassionate. You stop just reacting to everything and you start understanding what's driving it. You start taking responsibility for your life and realizing you can have the life that you've always dreamed of since you were a little girl, but something happened where you learned to live in your limited beliefs and fear instead of love and freedom. And that's really what understanding these laws do. They break you free. Here's another cool quote too that I love, and I forget who says it, is that you cannot escape a prison that you don't know you're in. And a lot of the time, the beliefs that you're holding, the excuses you have are mental prisons. And they're not actually prisons with doors locked. And I'm here sharing this, saying, girl, I'm breaking you free. The doors are open. Let's leave. And the sad thing is, some of you will say, yes, I'm going to do this. Yes, I'm going to apply this because I believe I'm free. And some of you will still be afraid to leave that cell. Some of you are so addicted to your excuses and so addicted to the beliefs and so addicted to the fear because that's all you know, that's all your nervous system knows. And I believe that you can be free from that, you can be healed from that, one step at a time, one thought at a time, one healing at a time. It can happen. You might have to go back to the self-love series and work through those steps: awareness, tapping in, tapping out, belief systems, mindset, right? Living it out before you get to the laws. The laws might be too far for you right now. They make you feel some sort of way. Then you need to go and do more healing and more self-work. And then pretty soon, like it did for me, it's going to click. It's just going to be like, snap. And it's going to make sense. And you're going to be like, holy shit, how did I not see this? It is wonderful, amazing. That's why I'm like, I have to share this. I have to teach this. Right? I have to share this. I have to teach this. I have to show you that your transformation, your miracle, the thing that you want most, you know what it is in your heart. It's absolutely possible. You just have to believe that it's possible, and you have to decide what it is that you truly want, and things will start working out. And that is why, you guys, I created the Fit Club app. It's not just about training and nutrition. It's not just about that. I help women build their bodies because a lot of the time that's the entry point for us. We want to change our bodies. But what we really want to change is our relationship with ourselves. We want to be confident. We want to become the women that are successful, the women that are confident, the women that are happy and joyful and feel good every single day. And that is absolutely possible. So that is why I created the Fit Club app. It is a self-relationship platform because I have taken everything that I have learned in my life and the things that have made me successful and where I am today and healed. And it is fit mind, fit body, fit lives. We have to work on that self-relationship, work on our mindset. We have to nourish our body. We have to train our body. We have to build this relationship with ourselves. And we have to instill habits in our lifestyle that match that identity. Because here's the thing, when your mind and body are aligned, transformation becomes sustainable. When your inner world changes, your outer world starts to change too. And that's what this is really about. It's not just about losing weight. It's not just about changing your body, but it's about changing the relationship with yourself so that you can change your whole life. It's the thing, a lot of us, we feel like if we could get our weight off, if we could feel amazing in our body, then everything would change. But here's the thing, if you do not learn to love your body where it's at, you will not love it where it's going. You'll get there and you'll just yo-yo because you'll just be left with with a new level of distortion. I've been there 1,000 times and I'm telling you it doesn't work. You have to learn to love yourself where you're at. You have to learn to love the body and do the things, the habits, the tracking, just because you're taking care of yourself and you love yourself. Then everything changes. Then the transformation is like this radical, most amazing experience. I'm not saying that it's easy and it's fun all the time. It does get to that point. It is going to be painful, but you have to remember feeling is healing. In order to heal, you must feel all the things you must go through. You must go in to get out. There is no over. There's only through. And when you learn this concept, there's only through. I have to work on my mindset. Yeah, you might join the app to work on programs, but I'm telling you, it's Fit Mind first. You'll see the devotionals, you'll see the journals, you'll see the mindset, you'll see this podcast. It is there to help you shift your mindset, to see yourself differently, to radically love who you are. Put yourself first, because then everything changes. Let's say this, if you were to unapologetically love yourself and love everything you are, you would be a better human being. If you're a better human being, it's going to make you raise better human beings. It's going to change our world. So when we love ourselves, if everybody was to love who they are, we would have a beautiful world. There would be no war, there would be no fighting. Because everything that we don't love about ourselves, we project onto others, and it makes us react and it makes us act in certain ways that is not in harmony with our highest self. You guys, that is it. That is all. If this episode resonated with you, share it with somebody. If someone came to your mind, that is the universe, God, whatever you believe, saying that person needs this. Share it. Send it to them. Send it to your sister. Send it to another woman who is working on herself and ready to grow. If you haven't, make sure you follow the podcast so that you don't miss an episode. If you haven't already, for those of you that have left a review and rated this podcast, thank you so much. It helps the message get found. That is my only ask. You can go to the homepage of the podcast, scroll to the bottom, hit those 5 stars. You can write a review or something that you love about it so other women can read it too. Share this podcast on social media. That would mean the world to me. And yeah, just make sure you're subscribed, because next we're diving into the law of attraction. And now that you understand the law of vibration and frequency, that next conversation is going to make a lot more sense. Because once you begin understanding the laws of alignment, things will start making sense. Those dreams, those goals that you have will start to click. It's like puzzle pieces fitting together. And when things start to make sense, that's when you gain power, and that's when things start changing. Everything is in the show notes, ladies. So if you want to email me, if you have questions, if you want questions for me to answer, you can message me, you can tag me on social media, you can send me a DM. I always reply. I love your questions. I love hearing from you. Whatever resonated with you, if this clicked, let me know. Like, it really helps me go, okay, this really resonated, and I will teach more. I'll dive in more. If there's something that you want to learn more that maybe didn't make sense, let me know. That is it. That is all. I love you so much. I will see you next week. Have an amazing week.